So would you say, there's a lot of discussion about whether or not hooping is dead. So what would you say as a part of this discussion? Some think it's dead, some think it's not going to ever die. But
Yeah, well, I think like many things, it has its best seasons, and sometimes it sometimes the occasion may not be the most suitable place for hooping, but hooping is alive because it is so ingrained within us and because so many preachers possess the gift. And I think it's a lot of preachers who yet possess the gift who've not yet unearthed it and developed it and put in the time to develop it. I think that lots of preachers who do not hoop would love to.
I think I'm one of those.
Would love to.
Yes.
And but here is a preacher who is known as a hooper who will say to you that one of the drawbacks, if there's, if you could call it a drawback, is that I'm invited places to preach. I'm known as a hooper. If I go to those places to preach and do not hoop, then it will be said that E.L. Branch just talked to us today, or E.L. Branch lectured. Whereas if, because the Holy Spirit may not in every sermon lead us to close in the same way. I consider myself fortunate that I'm invited to so many different events and occasions, and although I'm known as a hooper, I do not have to hoop all the time. I am not one of those anymore but if I'm in revival, I think that's an expectation for me. If they invite me, I think that they want the E.L. Branch that they invited.
As a hooper.
Yeah, as a hooper. But I do everything from service speaker at banquets. I teach, and I lecture and I preach occasions in shall we say, in other faith traditions, and I like to be appropriate, and I like to feel that that's okay for me to be appropriate for those occasions. I recently, well, it's been a few years back, preached at a church. I preached there on many occasions, but this was an occasion where the building was being, inducted into the Historical Society to become a historical structure. And so lots of people who were not a part of that particular church were also there for the event. So people of broad variety of faith traditions were there, and so when it was time for me to come in to bring the sermon, I preached, at that church like I always do. I tried to be E.L. Branch, the one that they invited to come, and so when it was over, a white gentleman walked up to me, and he was really excited, and he started shaking my hand, and it was like he was pumping for water. He was just going, he said, that was, and then he said, energetic, He said, so it's about, kind of understanding, what it is, and understanding, how much, in fact, it is a part of the black church preaching tradition, and so often, I just finished revival this past week, and people who come up to me and say things like, you took me back home, or, you know, now that's what I call preaching, you know. I mean, these are the things that people will say, because for so many of them, especially those who are 50, 60, 70 years old, it's what they are familiar with and what they knew growing up and all the rest. And so I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And as long as there are preachers who are gifted to hoop, hooping is going to be around.